This is the Keychron K3 Pro. This is Keychron's latest low-profile mechanical keyboard, and it has the Pro badge attached to it. In this video, I'm going to tell you if it's any good and if it's really pro. Let's get into it. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know I love my Keychron mechanical keyboards. The K2 was my first mechanical keyboard. I got that at the beginning of lockdown in 2020. After that purchase, I was hooked. My name is Patrick, and this is Everyday Tech for everyday people. In this video, I'm talking about the Keychron K3 Pro mechanical keyboard. Now, I bought this myself via their Kickstarter campaign. Actually, this is the third keyboard I bought from Keychron via their Kickstarter campaign, and my fourth keyboard overall from them. Now, as I mentioned before, the K2 mechanical keyboard was my first one. That was a 75% size mechanical keyboard. Then I moved on to the K7 low profile. That's a 65% keyboard. Then I went on to the K8 Pro. And at the time of that review, I said it was the best mechanical keyboard I've ever used. Now we come to the K3 Pro. This is a 75% keyboard. Like most Keychrons, you can use this both wired and wirelessly. You can connect up to 3 devices via Bluetooth and switch between them very easily. Now, before I begin this review, I'm going to do a direct comparison between the K7 low profile keyboard and the K8 Pro. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the K8 Pro with me. I gave that to my friend Ryan for his housewarming gift, but I do remember that keyboard very well. As far as build quality is concerned, this is definitely a premium feeling product. This comes with an aluminum body, which is standard with this keyboard. With other Keychron keyboards, that's usually an upgrade option. And the version I have here has an RGB backlight, and you can get one with a white backlight for a little bit cheaper. This has non-hot swappable key switches. You can get one with hot swappable key switches, and I happen to have the brown switches with this keyboard. If you're into mechanical keyboards, you already know the different color switches that are out there. But if you're not, simply put, the different color switches have to do with the tactile feel or the clickety feel. Now, you have some that are linear switches, which have no tactile feel. These are usually geared towards gamers, and they are usually relatively quiet. Now, the most common linear type switches are red switches. Now, on the other side, you have blue switches, which have a very tactile feel, very clickety feel. These tend to be louder and tend to be towards typists. So these are blue switches. For me personally, I like to be somewhere in the middle. So I like brown switches, which are lightly tactile, lightly clickety, and relatively quiet. Now, if you have blue switches, you probably don't want to have that in a shared environment, such as a shared office. So I like the brown switches, which are still kind of loud. I wouldn't put it in a shared office, but are relatively quiet compared to other mechanical keyboards. Now, of course, there are other factors such as the force that you need to press down on a switch, or even the travel distance. So there are many other color switches out there to fit your personal needs. Taking a tour around this keyboard, in the back, you have the same toggles here to put it into Windows and Mac keyboard layouts. You have the on-off switch, or you can put it to wired mode or wireless mode. Then in the back middle here, you have the USB-C port, which is used to charge the keyboard or to connect it to a computer when it's in wired mode. Now, under the keyboard, you have these different feet that you can raise it up, raise the typing angle another 2 levels up. Now, I wish the typing angle, the highest level, was a little bit more angled. If you compare this to the K7 actually has a steeper or bigger typing angle on the highest level there. K3 Pro comes with double shot PBT keycaps or keys. This refers to the way it's made. Plastic is shot or injected through 2 different molds during construction. This results in easy to read and long-lasting keycaps. This is a backlit keyboard, and I have the RGB version here. Now, if you're looking for keycaps that allow the light to shine through the keyboard, the keycaps, you're going to have to look for different keycaps or look for a different keyboard altogether. Now, even though this is backlit, the keycaps are not transparent. So that's not a big deal killer for me, but it might be a deal killer for somebody else. Now, in low light, I can still easily read the keycaps or in the lettering, In total darkness, I can't, but there's never a situation where I'm in total darkness. First of all, usually the monitor in front of me, it has enough illumination, and I'm usually in a room with some kind of light. So I can still read the keys very easily, even in low light, but not in total darkness. As far as operating the keyboard is concerned, this is going to be the same as other Keychron keyboards, especially with this same size layout. Now I have the media buttons up here that are combined with the function keys. Now if I want to use the function keys, I'm going to have to hold down the function button down here and press the function key. Now the combination of this function key with other keys allows you to control other parts of the keyboard. The main one that I'll note is the function key and the number 1, 2, or 3 key. That'll switch between the different devices that you already have paired with this keyboard. For me, I would pair it with my Mac Mini here, my MacBook Air, and my iPad Pro. Then if you want to switch up the RGB mode, you have this dedicated button up here. You can switch between the different modes and patterns that react to either to your typing, or they just cycle through different color patterns. Then there are a couple of different key combinations that you can use to configure the backlit. The one actually I use the most is the function key and the actually dedicated button here. And that just kind of turns on and off the RGB backlighting. There is another way to configure your keyboard, including the backlight, and this is via software. Now, recent Keychron keyboards have been made to be QMK/VIA or VIA compatible. Now, I won't get into any details here, but this is basically open source firmware that allows you to program and customize your keyboard. So I have the VIA app running here on my Mac, and I've loaded the K3 Pro profile that I downloaded from Keychron. And now I'm able to remap the keys if I want to, create macros, and on this particular keyboard, I can customize the backlight as well. So I'm glad Keychron is going this direction and allowing users to customize their keyboard via software. Now we come to the most important thing about this keyboard. How does it feel using this keyboard? Well, this is something I felt with the K8 Pro as well, but using this keyboard is just awesome. The feel of using it, well, it's hard to explain, but it's very premium, and it doesn't hold me back as far as typing speed and feel is concerned. Now, this is a little bit different than the K8 Pro in the sense that it's low profile. Now, compared to the K8 Pro, as far as individual key presses are concerned, I would say the K8 Pro, individual key presses is probably a little bit better feeling. But as far as the overall feel, I do like the low profile feel of this keyboard, and it looks really good on my overall setup here. Of course, this is up to personal preference. If we compare this to the K7 low profile keyboard, this K3 blows it away. The K7 is a really great keyboard, and it's not cheap at all. But if you compare them side to side, you'll really see the difference between the build quality and even in the sound. The K7 sounds a little cheap compared to the K3 Pro. This is where the Pro badge of the K3 and even the K8 come in. Speaking of sound, this comes to the sound test. Now in my last review, I made the mistake of using a microphone that was attached to my desk, so some of the vibrations of me typing came through that way. So now I have the mic set up on a separate stand, so hopefully we'll get a more accurate picture of how things sound. I'm going to be doing a direct comparison between this keyboard and the K7 keyboard. If it's not obvious, I'm really liking this keyboard. I like how it's low profile, but yet very premium in build quality and typing feel. Now at the time of this recording, you can get the white backlight version for under $100, which I think is a great value for a keyboard like this. I like how it's Mac, Windows, Linux, iOS, and Android compatible. Now, most mechanical keyboards out there are Windows keyboards that you have to adapt into another operating system like Mac. I like how Keychron keyboards are Mac first, but yet fully compatible with Windows. They even come with Windows keycaps that you can switch out. If you have any questions about this keyboard, leave a comment below. For full specs of this keyboard, go to the Keychron website, which I'll link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Consider subscribing. Until the next one, see ya.